Some believe that before the universe, there was nothing. They're wrong. There was darkness. And it has survived.
I gave you my word. I would return.
What's gonna happen?
Hold on.
Wait, what?
Jane!
We're from different worlds. Maybe they're separate for a reason.
If we do nothing, they'll destroy us.
Ask yourself, what will you sacrifice for what you believe?
You must be truly desperate to come to me for help.
You should know that when you betray me, I will kill you.
When do we start?
This is an interesting trailer. I'm not quite sure what to make of it. I'm not quite sure how I feel, and let me explain. I'll start out by saying that when they made the first Thor film, they announced they were going to make it. Everybody was like, oh, it should be like Lord of the Rings. It should be super realistic. It should have like it should just be like a Viking movie, but he has a hammer with lightning. And they didn't do that. You know, Marvel Studios and Kenneth Branagh decided to take a little bit more of a fantasy approach with Asgard, a lighter touch with the comedy. And it ended up, in my opinion, working. I really liked Thor a lot. The Thor film was a pleasant surprise for me, I guess maybe partially because I went in with such low expectations. But I saw it twice in theaters, and he actually is my favorite Marvel cinematic hero after Iron Man, I think, with his films. I really like them. But then I do know that some people, obviously the movie did very well, but some people didn't like the approach they took. And I know some mainstream moviegoers who aren't comic book fans also weren't crazy about Thor. So I can see why they were like, well, I think that I can see why they decided to tweak it a little bit, because even though I loved it, it wasn't quite the slam dunk that the Iron Man movies have become. So now it seems like they are taking that more realistic approach, and Chris Hemsworth has spoken about that, and they brought in Alan Taylor to direct from Game of Thrones. With the Game of Thrones element, I just watched the latest episode last night, which is unfortunate for this trailer because I saw dragons and all the cool stuff that they were doing in Game of Thrones this season. And Game of Thrones is extremely well done, great budget. I mean, they can't quite go to movie level because of their budget problems, but they go as close as they can, and it's a great show for it. And I really think that with this trailer, I would have liked to have seen one of those we can only do this in a movie shots. You know, I think that it's something we talked about a little bit with John Carter of Mars film, that Andrew Stanton didn't do the big special effects shots first. He didn't shoot them first, so they weren't ready for the trailers, and it kind of got the movie off to the wrong foot. And I would say that I feel to some degree this might have happened here, where I don't, it's the famous White House exploding shot in the ID4 trailer. That shot that just is like, you got to see this in theaters. And I feel that Thor right now, it's a character development trailer. And I know that a lot of you are big character development fans, but when I feel you're selling a big movie, this is a big November blockbuster, but still a blockbuster, you need to show me why this is better than Game of Thrones. Because Game of Thrones is really, really good. I will say, even with the darker tone here, I do see shades of the comic book, that stuff at the end with Thor being like, if you betray me, I'll kill you, Loki. And Loki being like, bring it on, Thor. Because largely I think Loki knows like Thor's full of crap and is never going to kill him. But I think that that's right out of the comic book, so I like that element of it. And also, I really liked Natalie Portman's performance in the first one as Jane Foster. I like bringing her to Asgard, even though I wish she was going to the fantasy Asgard. This is the more realistic, King's Landing, the King's Landing Asgard. But I do know that Natalie Portman was reluctant to make the film because she didn't like the changing of she didn't like that Patty Jenkins didn't stay on as a director. She didn't like going with Alan Taylor. Maybe it's nothing against Alan Taylor, but I think it's always a bad idea when an actor doesn't want to be there. I hope she was professional enough to put that aside. But Hopefully there'll be a second trailer. I want to see more action. I want to see more comedy. I would like to see, and when I want to see a payoff for taking this darker tone that's going to make me feel better about leaving the other stuff behind. Also, last comment, the villain, Malkeith the Accuser, you see him very quickly, and he does look exactly like the set shots we've been seeing, but I think that he looks a little too exactly like the set shots. Maybe that's why you don't see more of him in the trailer. Maybe they're still tweaking him with special effects. But he doesn't look as cool as I would have hoped. He looks a little Thanos-y, a little rubbery. I think that, you have to, like the people have been talking about Electro, the photos of Electro for Spider-Man 2. And I think that I haven't really talked about them yet because I want to see them in action, because I think those shots are going to be, I think that character Electro is going to be really reliant on special effects to boost his visual appeal. And I think that might be the case here too. So what do you think? What approach do you want with Thor? Do you like the way that Kenneth Branagh went with the first film, with a little more fantasy, a little lighter touch? Or are you like, bring on this Game of Thrones-esque, darker, more realistic touch and leave the other stuff behind? And also, do you think anything can beat Game of Thrones? I think, come to think of it, I think they could make a Game of Thrones movie if the show continues to be this successful and this awesome. If the selling point was Game of Thrones with a movie budget, that would be very exciting. So anyway, write your thoughts down below. I'm definitely going to see Thor: The Dark World because I loved the first Thor so much. But again, I don't know why these comic book movies are going darker. I can understand why DC is doing it because of the success of their own cinematic universe or franchise with The Dark Knight, Christopher Nolan films, but Avengers had such success with the brighter color palette and the lighter tone that I'm surprised that maybe that's the Phase 2 choice, but it's a gamble. So we'll see if it pays off. All right, again, write your thoughts down below. Thank you for coming to Beyond the Trailer for the latest trailers and these quick snapshot reviews. Thanks for watching. Bye.